Dorothea.
She is here.
Salutations.
Let's see here. How'd you guess? How did you know? You're psychic. short haircut. Somebody else if I see some. So I don't know what that was all about. Should I try and call him back?
Good evening, my friends from near and far. It says someone from Green River. Hello, Green River. I lived in Grand Junction, Colorado for a while. So nice to hear from you, Green River man. Welcome to the live stream that is focused upon, of course, the star tetrahedron, the mystical marriage of divine power, divine love, which then creates an energetic wave form of consciousness and light that then, as it moves in its rotation, it then opens a sacred doorway in the very middle of the star tetrahedron, which is within the area of the heart chakra. And it opens back into the realms of void spirit. And of course, within the void, all that is unmanifest within that which is source or God resides in this great womb of creation. But because there's no light within the void, there's nothing to be seen. And this is exactly what the star tetrahedron does when we open the sacred doorway in the middle. And this is the assembly of light and consciousness, light and love. When the doorway opens, we're then able to literally bring light into the void and we illuminate that which we would choose to create. And so we become literally creator beings. Most individuals in the world and the whole evolution of planet Earth has been working with more of what are the resources that are already here, what has already been created, what has the great Christ field that is the earth, what has she already exuded from inside out that we use in our personal creation. We gather the resources and then through the action of doing, we then make it into something, all quite beautiful. But when we open the doorway to the void and we then become creator being, we simply peer into the void and we illuminate. That's what we would choose to create. And the light of that which we bring, as it illuminates it within the void, we are now literally seeing and illuminating. It then creates a reflection off of it. That reflection then moves through the open doorway of the heart, and as it then touches the facets of the spinning star, it then holographically spins out the image, thought, feeling that we are seeking to bring forth. And then, equally important, we know that in our work, then the final component is the breath, the spirit. And so, as we are in breathing, the in breath is then bringing spirit, then to bring life to that which we create. And so, we then animate the light activation hologram into actual living something. So, this is the work of the star tetrahedron. And of course, the size could be either completely around the body, which some people refer to as the Merkabah, or it could be much smaller. Again, really, it's your choice, whatever you choose. But the important point you see is that it illuminates then the void, the unmanifest, where all that exists within Source Unmanifest is waiting to come forth into creation. And so the universe is always expanding and looking for more, if you will, Christed creator beings to summon and bring spirit into life. So this is our new becoming. Now, recently I came across some very interesting information that was talking about how Earth, as we're moving through the solar system, as the whole galaxy is turning, in particular our solar system on the outer edge, we knew in 2012 that the Mayan calendar said this is the end times, but it's really the beginning of new times. And we knew that we were moving into a new trajectory of light activation as the solar system then moved in its evolution around the galaxy in this 24,000, about 400-year cycle. And what we have been moving on to is what is called a photon belt. Photons are particles of light. And this photon belt, it's what we call a fifth dimensional frequency. The fifth dimensional frequency is the frequency of the Christ star. This is that fifth dimensional frequency. It's of light and consciousness. And what is seeking to take place as we're moving into this new light activation is to bring that which we are. We already are fifth dimensional beings of light, but now we're seeking to reveal it, to awaken it within the worlds of form, within three dimensionality. And then we then become the human divine archetype, which is the new, as we have often talked about, the new evolution that is happening upon the planet. And as we're moving forth into this photon belt, the frequency of light and energy, it's such a high frequency, excuse me, that it's breaking down all that which does not vibrate to that new light activation. And so we do see the destructuring and the breaking down of the old paradigm, the old forms. It's again exactly what the Mayan calendar talked about. It would be the end time, so to speak, the beginning of a new paradigm. They call it, if you will, the end of days, but it was the beginning of new days. And we're now again in that. And so this other information I found, it talked about how we moved into and first touched into the photon belt in 1987. And if any of you remember, it was what we called harmonic convergence. And so there was now a harmonic convergence of new time taking place. So we touched into it in 1987. I was up in Mount Shasta with a couple of dozen friends, and we were celebrating this great time of awakening on the planet, the harmonic convergence that was talked about in great length, if you will. And then in 2012, then Earth and our solar system then was completely enveloped within this photon belt. And so we fully entered into it. And now we are then moving into then the even thicker aspects of this photon belt, this fifth dimensional frequency. And so it's going to continue to break down all that does not vibrate to this new frequency. It's not that it's in one way super rapid, but it's happening, somewhat quickly. Again, 1987, what was that? Almost 30 years ago.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So that's when we touched into it, and now we are fully enveloped within it. But we're going to be in it for a very long time, and it's this whole cycle of the Aquarian age, which is a 2,200-year cycle. And it's all about then building more of this light activation. And we who are involved in the fifth dimensional work of the Christ star, the star tetrahedron, we are here as the seeds. We are the ones that are bringing and carrying this new information. And as we are doing the star tetrahedron work in our meditation, we're actually beginning through the what we call epigenetics, which is then the changing of the structure of the DNA. We're actually then beginning to change our DNA sequencing. And this again is part of that new seeding of the new humanity, the evolution of the human divine being. And so, as seeds, we are again somewhat, to say the least, new. There's not a lot of us on the planet. Again, when you plant seeds, it doesn't take very many to flower into an amazing crop as it simply comes into production. And so, many seeds scattered all over the planet, and many working at this level of light activation. One of the chaps that I know that is quite marvelous, Matisse de Stefano, who some of you might have worked with or know, working quite beautifully at the activation of the Earth grid and awakening Mother Earth to be in synchronicity with the human form in this light activation. Now, as we're moving forth into this fifth dimensional frequency and the breaking down of that which is destructuring, taking apart the old to make way for the new, we see it happening rapidly upon the planet. And we know who are working with the star tetrahedron that we are bringing forth again new consciousness, a new life way from inside out. And so this has to be our very clear and dynamic focus. Because when we look out into the world and we see what's happening, a recent climate panel came together and said it looks quite dire for the planet, that the destruction that is happening because of the ecology, the resources, we may have reached quite a tipping point. There is what is called the water conveyor belt that goes from way down to the Antarctica. It then moves beneath the ocean and circulates around the earth completely, comes up through Florida, and then becomes a current that goes up to Greenland. And then it then circulates back with cold water, then back down through the equator. And it's the cooling mechanism for Mother Earth. And they have found this slowing down quite appreciably. And if it should stop, of course, it would be quite a difficult time for the planet, for particularly human beings. But what we're seeing is, see, as Mother, she is simply resetting herself. And we who are here to bring forth the new consciousness, focusing upon always that which is the new possibility, we have to be so watchful and so careful now that we don't allow ourselves to go to fear or to worry or to concern. That we know that when we're emanating the living light from inside out, we will be taken always to the proper place, we will be taken care of. Someone was asking me today, is there some place you think you might want to go to? And I said, no, I know that when the time is right, Spirit will lay in my lap. If it is that I move somewhere, right now I'm quite content here. But if it should come to that, Spirit would take me to the proper place. And this individual was saying, well, what about their political views here? And what about what is going on with the politics over here? And I said, once again, I said, because I'm literally vibrating to a tone of love and light and joy, I will be taken to the place where it is going to support and honor and love me and my work and my family. So I have no worry. I have absolutely no fear and no worry about the changes. I embrace them. Um, I'm looking forward to whatever Earth is going through. It's part of, again, the evolutionary cycle, and we are most fortunate to be here on the planet at this time as we watch this great change taking place. There's never been a time on the planet where we've gone from three-dimensional to fourth-dimensional light activation. And as we're moving into this fifth-dimensional frequency, it's not that we're leaving. Some people think that fifth-dimensional consciousness is ascension. Well, it's not ascension into leaving. It's really light activation. That we're changing the quality of the DNA. We're refining the structure of the physical form. Consciousness is increasing rapidly because we're moving upon beyond simply the brain as really who we are to the field of divine mind that is the torus field that is 12 feet above, 25 to 30 feet around, and 12 feet beneath us. That is this great being that we've always been, we always will be, already enlightened, already in perfection, already in the Christed state. We're simply here to reveal that within form and create upon the planet for the first time the melding of a fifth dimensional being of light in and through three dimensionality, which would then create an even greater life wave, another greater part of creation for Mother Earth. And so, all very, very exciting. And so, here we are, really pioneers, you see. It's much like someone was saying the other day that if they could go back and travel with Lewis and Clark as they then went from Missouri clear up through all of the Northwest and really researched out and found what really was on, the whole of the United States. What an amazing adventure. Sure, it had trials and tribulations, but to be again on the Lewis and Clark expedition and the adventure of it, and if once again you knew, as we know, that if I'm in a place of emanating love and light and joy, I'll be taken care of. And so I know that I could go with Lewis and Clark and I'd be just fine. I might not have a tea service every day or, linen every night, but again, I would be quite happy and content and enjoying immensely the experience because I knew I would be taken care of. And so you see exactly where we are today. So I want to encourage you because of this very important thing that we're doing of bringing forth a new life wave from inside out of us, that we are here to be the seeds. And if a seed has worry or if a seed has fear, then that is going to be part of the planting of that seed. And we're looking for seeds that are flowering with such beauty and grace today. And Spirit is behind you 100%. All you need to do is keep calling upon Spirit, keep calling upon the angels of light. Again, the importance of our meditation. I'm, of course, with many of you folks once, twice a day. I'm at least twice a day in my hour long. Usually, maybe 2 or 3 o'clock at night, I'll wake up and sit up in bed and have another meditation. It's moving into this fifth dimensional frequency of light activation, and it's quite frankly, it's blissful and it's yummy for me. I can't wait to get up in the morning and meditate. It's just so exciting to feel, well, what is the next level of light activation that's taking place? The next level of bliss and joy that's emanating from me. So very exciting in our work. The other thing that I was wanting to touch into just a bit, when we are bringing forth in our meditation with our in-breath, we are summoning from out of the open doorway spirit. And so the in-breath is, and so rising forth from out of the star tetrahedron is this living water, literally the living waters of source. And we, who are then with the light of imagination, what we call power, and then with love, this is the refinement of the star tetrahedron. And so we have light and we have love to illuminate that which is arising forth. But you also have to choose that which you would, again, want to create. For me in my meditation, I'm simply sitting quietly and watching and feeling this golden elixir of purity and sunlit glory, just like the sun emanating from me. So I'm not really giving it so much a feeling or an image thought of what I'm wanting to create. I do that after my meditation. And so my meditation is then simply seeing and feeling very dynamically the in breath, this living elixir of light coming forth. And for me, you see, it's become such a strong feeling of actually this living substance that begins to arise forth. And then with the gentle letting go, watching it then filter out to the very edge of the torus field, and then just like sunlight, just emanating out into the world. Now, in our meditation afterwards, when we're doing our creator, if you can imagine you're an artist, let's say that you're a sculptor. Well, what is arising forth, you see, is the clay of creation. So imagine you're a sculpture, and all of a sudden, this very raw substance of the purity of clay is arising forth. Well, all you need do, you see, is envision. What would I see the clay of this creation to be? And so, as the artist, you simply see, here is the clay that is arising forth. And as you see it with such clarity and such preciseness, the clay, if you will, literally begins to take that form and it becomes the holographic emanation of that which you create. The same with an artist that is a painter, even a watercolor or an oil painter. If you can imagine arising forth is this pure substance that is the oils of your painting and it's arising forth. All you need to do is see with such clarity and love. Again, that's the star tetrahedron, seeing and loving. You see and love it with such clarity. The pigments already they begin to take that shape to themselves. The picture begins to arise forth, and just voila, the holographic image comes forth into your creation. And so we are becoming very dynamic artists, you see, in our creation. And this is the new artistic way you see of the fifth dimensional being. They begin to create by simply seeing and loving, seeing and loving. And what they are seeing and loving is the raw substance of source that they are then calling and summoning forth from out of the void. So this is why it's very important, you see, that we do our breath work where we simply sit quietly for about 5 minutes and we begin to summon and call forth the living source from within, this living spring, if you will. So throughout the day, if you do begin to feel some tension in your life around fear or worry, I encourage you not to dislike it or to judge it or to even criticize it, but simply acknowledge it. Here is an old emotion that is arising forth of fear and worry. And if you quickly recognize it and then you use it as a tool that's giving you information. Oh, I'm focused upon that which I don't want to create. This is my native creation. What would I like to create? And you simply sit for 2 or 3 minutes and you do some breath work. Once again, summoning and calling forth the living substance from inside out. You'll find that the emotion begins to dissolve quickly. And as it dissolves, you then turn your attention to that which I would create, that which would be my joy, that which would be the living sunlight emanating from me. And so your breath work can become a very important tool throughout the day to keep you on track and online. So we're going to go ahead and do some breath work now. We'll do it for about 5 minutes. And once again, the breath work, it's a very deep summoning. Literally, you're summoning from the open doorway within the heart, the living substance of source. And as the in-breath so, we call it the Ujjayi breath. And the Ujjayi breath, it's a little bit of the constriction in the throat to create a little bit of a sound. But what it's also doing, you see, it's taking the breath and it's moving up through really the back of the sinuses, up almost along the back of the head. And so it's a, And as it then is coming into the area of the third eye, this is when we then see and feel that which I would create. And so is the in breath. Holding for a couple of counts, and with a gentle exhale, we're simply seeing, watching this living golden light emanating from us. It's changing the DNA in the body. It's literally just like the sun going out into the world, and we then are the seed of life and light that is bringing this new fifth dimensional frequency to the earth. So let's do the breath work for about 5 minutes. I will sit with eyes open. As you all know, I love practicing driving or walking. So let's do 5 minutes of very deep so hum breath. Spine nice and erect, as though there is a string at the top of the head gently pulling you up, and deep in breath. And one more deep breath, summoning spirit from the open doorway within the heart. So we'll move into our meditation, which is about the assembly of the star tetrahedron, focusing of the mind, the light of the mind. We image in the upper triangulation of divine power, and then we assemble in the lower triangulation of divine love, which then creates the movement in the middle, the open doorway into the realms of void where arising forth the living spring. And so again, with the breath arising forth, this is the spirit that gives life to that which emanates from us. So we become creator. So let's go ahead and close the eyes and begin to feel the body relaxing. And bringing our attention between the eyebrows, let's draw a line straight back. And within the approximate center point of the head, we ignite the light of the soul. I am the light. And focusing the light to the heart chakra at the sternum, we illuminate, we image in, imagine the star tetrahedron, upper triangulation, apex above, divine power, and the lower triangulation, divine love. And as the star tetrahedron turns, it opens the sacred doorway within the area of the heart chakra, in the very center of the chest. And arising forth is a living spring, source, spirit, touching the facets of the spinning star, spinning out living light through the body and all around. I am the light. Let's sit quietly together, and I will bring us all into the living light. And slowly coming back into the now. And so as we go forth, of course, into our daily lives and being very aware that we can do the breath work 24/7, we can do it, I mean, cooking, walking, driving, always being aware that I am summoning from the open doorway within the heart, literally source, that which I am. And it's this living elixir spring that as you feel it more and more, becomes so real and alive within you. And then with a gentle exhale, is simply then flowing out and changing the structure of the physical form, the DNA, and then flowing so effortlessly out into the world, just like the sunlight. And so we are the seeds of the new heaven on earth experience, the activation of the human divine form. And as seeds, we may seem like we're in the dark with a lot of fertilizer and soil on top of us, but that's the way seeds begin their lives, and pretty soon they become gigantic trees with blossoms and fruits and all that we're here to really bring to this divine planet. So lots of changes on the horizon, my friends. No worries. Again, when there's worries, come back to breath. And once again, release and let go and practice your meditation diligently, hopefully once, twice a day. The star tetrahedron is a magnificent, magnificent fifth dimensional frequency that brings the human divine into light manifestation. If I can assist you in any way, please always let me know. And great blessings upon you, my friends. And we will see you in about 2 weeks. And enjoy. Blessings.